Hello and welcome to Pardon the Integration. When should you move to cloud storage? A podcast where we tackle 3 top trends in the channel today. I'm your host, Ed Hannon, and I'm joined today by David Boland, Product Marketing Director with Wasabi Technologies. As Wasabi's Product Marketing Director, David's responsible for the positioning and communication of Wasabi's disruptive hot cloud storage service to the market, customers, partners, analysts, journalists, and Wasabi's internal team. David's focus is translating cloud storage technology into consumable services that help Wasabi customers understand how to develop, enhance, and serve their data storage needs. And David, thanks so much for being here, but let's get down to it by letting everyone know that today David and I are going to discuss when should you move to cloud storage. And the way the program works is we have 3 topics we'll discuss throughout the program, and we have 3 minutes to talk about each topic. Our first topic will be why choose cloud storage. Our second topic will be make dollars and cents of cloud storage. And topic 3, future-proof your cloud strategy with Wasabi. And as you watch today's program, you'll be able to see a countdown clock on the bottom of your screen. But let's get started with segment 1. And it's a real simple one for David. The first segment is called Why Choose Cloud Storage. So I guess, David, the first question would be, where do on-premise IT systems fall short?
That's a great question, Ed. So I wouldn't really say that they fall short. They've just grown to be cumbersome. And the technology refresh cycle is something that a lot of folks on-prem have been burned by in the past. It's easy to make the wrong decision. And you have to buy a lot of capacity up front because of the depreciation cycle. So you're gambling when you buy on-prem storage. You're buying more than you need, hoping that you're going to use it all, and hoping that you bought the right kind of technology. Do you need flash? Do you need spinning drives? Do you need NVMe? There's a lot of decisions that you have to make and gamble on, that the next 3 or 5 years are going to pay off for you when you take this purchase order to the CFO to get it signed. So a lot of people don't want to do that anymore. They want to just move it to the cloud and let the cloud companies handle the technology refresh cycle and the right kind of technologies for them to use.
That's a great point. And I just as a quick aside here, I remember a few years ago talking to an IT director at a small company, and he said, we get one swing at this stuff. And, with our budgets being what they are, we get one swing at this stuff. And if we get it wrong, we have to wait a long time before we get to fix it. So you make some great points there. Second question, what's the tipping point that you've seen for making the move to cloud storage, if there is one? What's the tipping point?
All right, yeah. So there are, I would say, 6 triggering events, probably, that would trigger the move to the cloud. The first few are obvious. When you're at the end of the depreciation cycle for your existing hardware, or you're at the end of your service contract for your hardware, and you are now faced with the choice. Do I buy the next and latest and greatest, or do I sign for a more expensive service contract, or do I look at an alternative? That's the first one. That's a good opportunity to start moving to the cloud. The second would be, hey, run out of capacity. So say you did purchase 100 terabytes or 200 terabytes or a petabyte, whatever it is of data on your 5-year contract, but you hit that maximum on year 2 or year 3 because you didn't forecast properly. Yeah, you still own that equipment and you're still depreciating it, but do you want to go out and purchase additional hardware to rack and stack next to it because you miscalculated on the capacity? The answer is usually no. And in that case, you build a hybrid cloud where you keep the stuff you have on-prem, let that run, totally fine, but you start using the cloud and you can migrate some of the older data off of the on-prem to the cloud, freeing up capacity. That's simple. Third is cost comparison. Somebody says, hey, I need to save money and I need a low-cost solution. What am I going to do? Budgets are tight. People aren't getting extra money for storage these days, and so therefore you can reconfigure your on-prem IT solution and incorporate the cloud at the same time and save money. So those are the top 3: depreciation cycles, capacity, and then for cost savings.
Let's move on to segment 2, make dollars and cents of cloud storage. And you and I have talked in the past about this, but the first question, how does cloud storage facilitate digital transformation?
Because if you have your data that's readily accessible and easy to get to without having to wait for a period of hours or possibly days to get to that data, you can build a business around older data. We've seen lots of examples of this in the past. But if you have your data sitting on an LTO tape, in a cardboard box, in a storage shed, in a salt mine, someplace across country, and you want to get the geographic information back so you can run analysis on where to look for the next oil or the oil pit, it's going to take days or weeks, right? If you have it in archive, in a cloud, in deep archive or glacier or something, it may take you 15 to 20 hours to get that data back unless you want to pay for an expedited cost. So having your data readily accessible to you at a moment's notice within milliseconds, that changes the way business operate and businesses run. And that facilitates, data transformation.
Next question. How can the channel keep cloud storage costs down?
Love this one, because what happens is there's a lot of hidden costs in cloud storage, other than Wasabi. Wasabi has one price, that's it, it's storage, that's all you pay for cost. But if you look at other costs in other clouds, you have your API put fees, your get fees, your inventories, all your API requests, they charge you microcents for, but they add up, especially if you're using millions or billions of objects, which is easy to do. You have your data retrieval charges, which are different from your egress charges. You have a small object tax. If your object is too small in some cases, then they will charge you for a larger object. You have object overhead, data that they put on every object that goes into the cloud. So at the end of the month, when you look at your storage bill, you've got a page full of different charges that you don't recognize, and you may not understand why they're there. So the costs associated with the object storage isn't always what's seen on the front page of the website. Unlike others, Wasabi has one price only, and that's for cloud object storage. If you know how much storage you're going to store, you know what your price is going to be. If you're going to keep it there for 30 days or 90 days, you know exactly what your price is going to be and what your costs are going to be. So it makes it a lot easier using Wasabi's pricing architecture.
Let's move to segment 3, and it's always my favorite one, but let's move to segment 3. Future-proof your cloud strategy with Wasabi. And first question, what makes Wasabi experts at cloud storage?
Great question. So we have a singular focus, and that's on storage. That's all we do. That's what we know. We don't deviate from there. You look at AWS, they have 200 different cloud products, 200 different cloud services. They can't be the best at everything. I give them a lot of credit. I wish I had the problems that they have. They have millions of customers and tens of trillions of objects under management. They have a fantastic solution, but they can't be the best at everything, and they're definitely not the best at storage. Our founding team, Dave Friend and Jeff Flowers, came out of Carbonite, and they started Carbonite in 2006. They understand the cloud, they understand storage, they understand how to use it for backup, and they took that knowledge with them and founded Wasabi in 2015. They worked on a new operating system, a new hardware, and a new architecture for cloud object storage, knowing that they were going to have to go up against AWS and Azure and Google and IBM. Taking the knowledge they had, rolling it into a new product and bringing it out. And honestly, since then, since 2017, when the service came out, we've gained 20,000 customers and have 3,000 MSPs and VARs and resellers in the Wasabi family. So we have been successful, and because we know cloud storage, and that's what we focus on.
And the last question for today's program is, how does Wasabi Cloud solve business problems?
Businesses want to focus on what their core business is, what their revenue is, what their vision and their mission is. They don't want to focus on storage. And that's it. If you're a storage administrator, 10 years ago, that was great. The companies needed a storage administrator. These days, there isn't a real need for a storage administrator. Maybe, well, to take that back, in maybe the Fortune 100 companies where they have petabytes, of data that need to be managed on-prem, yeah, it's fine, solely storage administrator. But if you could offload some of that workload the IT teams have today that they focus on, racking and stacking equipment, bug fixes and patches and depreciation cycles and technology cycles. Take that off of their plate. Let them focus on something else. They can drive and help drive business with new IT programs or new software, or just a better focus on what that core business should be. So we help them by taking a lot of the unnecessary burden off of them.
Excellent. David, thanks so much for your time today. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I'm good. Before we go, I'm just going to share 3 quick takeaways from today's program. Number one, depreciation cycles, cost savings, and capacity are 3 tipping points for moving to cloud storage. Number 2, there are a lot of hidden costs in cloud storage, but not with Wasabi. And finally, Wasabi is the expert on cloud storage because their singular focus is on cloud storage. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Once again, my name is Ed Hannon, and you've been watching Pardon the Integration. When should you move to cloud storage?